We are in the chapter Life, Matter. Srimanta has already examined the supermind and established its connection with mind, our normal mind. He has examined Chit Shakti and established the connection with life. Now he is dealing with matter. Matter also he will show it to be the last manifested form of Sat. Okay? So, before we read the para, in a certain sense, matter is unreal. I will read out to you in different words what he has said in the previous para so that you get the connecting link. These defeats and victories of life and matter and mind are not what they seem to be. They are only appearances on the surface. Life is not really defeated by matter. Life allows matter to enforce death. But by death, life renews itself. Collectively, life is immortal, even if individual forms perish. Therefore, we may say that death is a process of life to renew itself. Death is not the contradiction of life. Similarly, mind is not really victorious over life and matter. Mind has only triumphed over life in some areas, and that too partially. For instance, one example is there, infant mortality is drastically reduced. So, death generally has been reduced. That's what he means with partial success of mind over matter. Diseases are being wiped out. Another example of partial success of mind. Longevity is extended most impressively. That also is another example. These are examples I am giving. Srimanta has not said. Again, mind has mastered matter in many ways. Science has tamed river floods, eliminated distance by mobiles and television and air travel, harvested sunlight and wind. So many victories for mind over matter. Similarly, the individual soul has not become master of mind, life and body. It has only eliminated or rejected them. But mind has not yet exhaustively discovered the hidden potentialities of vital and body. That is why the integral yoga is that Satchidananda is the origin, the middle and the end of existence. That is the integral view. The integral view is that these present temporary discords are not permanent. The aim of evolution must be the perfect harmony of soul, mind, life and matter, without any rejection or belittling of any of them. Soul must discover the potentialities of mind, life and matter and use them profitably and meaningfully. Soul must become master of the other three. Then alone can man claim a real victory. For this to happen, we must examine and discover the truth of matter. Just as we have discovered that mind is a reflection of supermind, life is a representation of Chit Shakti, psychic is the figure of Ananda. What then is the truth of matter? This is what we are going to study. So having said that, we now read the next paragraph. In a certain sense, matter is unreal and non-existent. That is to say, our present knowledge, idea and experience of matter is not its truth, but merely a phenomenon of particular relation between our senses and the all existence in which we move. When science discovers that matter resolves itself into forms of energy, it has hold of a universal and fundamental truth. And when philosophy discovers that matter only exists as substantial appearance to the consciousness and that the one reality is spirit or pure conscious being, it has hold of a greater and completer, a still more fundamental truth. But still, the question remains, why energy should take the form of matter and not of mere force currents, or why that which is really spirit should admit the phenomenon of matter and not rest in states, velleities, and joys of the spirit. This, it is said, is the work of mind, or else, since evidently thought does not directly create or even perceive the material form of things, it is the work of sense. The sense mind creates the forms which it seems to perceive, and the thought mind works upon the forms which the sense mind presents to it. But evidently, the individual embodied mind is not the creator of the phenomenon of matter. Earth existence cannot be the result of the human mind, which is itself a result of earth existence. If we say that the world exists only in our own minds, we express a non-fact and a confusion. For the material world existed before man was upon the earth, and it will go on existing if man disappears from the earth, or even if our individual mind abolishes itself in the infinite. We must conclude then that there is a universal mind, subconscious to us in the form of the universe, or superconscious in its spirit, which has created that form for its habitation. And since the Creator must have preceded and must exceed its creation, this really implies a superconscious mind which, by the instrumentality of a universal sense, creates in itself the relation of form with form and constitutes the rhythm of the material universe. But this also is no complete solution. It tells us that matter is a creation of consciousness, but this also is no complete solution. It tells us that matter is a creation of consciousness, but it does not explain how consciousness came to create matter as the basis of its cosmic workings. This is what he is saying in the paragraph. So, we can do two things. We can look at each sentence, or first to get the basic idea of what he is saying, I'll say the same thing in different words, and then we can go back to the, having seized the basic idea, we'll go back to the details. Okay? So now the question he is examining is matter as we perceive it with our five senses a reality? This is what he is saying. Okay? No, it is not. It's not a reality, because our senses are limited and give us only partial images of the physical world. An example, our eye does not see ultraviolet and infrared. Our ear does not hear high decibel and low decibel sounds which bats and dogs can hear. Also, in comparison with higher states of consciousness, the material world appears in as mere images, shadows. When you make your mind silent and go to self, you see the physical world as mere images and shadows. So therefore, it's not what we see is not the reality. We are not even seeing the whole of reality. We are just seeing one section of reality. The width or range, and the sounds also just this decibel and that decibel. That's all. The rest of it we are not hearing. Science says that matter is nothing but energy. It is quite right, but this is a partial truth. When spiritual experience reveals matter to be pure, subtle substance, which is conscious of itself as its origin, then we have a greater truth. So what science is saying is mere energy. And that energy also, if you go back to the atomic level, you will see that the nucleus and the distance between the nucleus and the electrons is so huge that if you blow it to our level of proportion, it will be like from here to the moon or the sun. In other words, matter is mostly empty space. This also, there are very interesting passages in Savitri where he describes this. It's a magic. He is creating out of nothing, out of empty space, he is creating magic, a whole universe. Okay, so then, now the question crops up. Why should spirit take form of matter and not rest content with pure energy or settle itself into states of velleities or joys? Velleities are mild wishes, not strong desires but mild desires. Okay, why not remain on that word? Or joys. Okay? We are told by certain philosophies that matter is a creation of sense. He is talking of Mayavada, and also he is talking of the Buddhists who say that the senses are picking up data from the physical world, sending it through nerves to the brain, and so what you are seeing is just an image in your mind. Proof: if your senses are not there, the world doesn't exist for you. If the nerves are damaged, again the world disappears. If your mind becomes silent, you see the physical world as only images. So therefore, science is right in that way. We are told by certain philosophies that matter is a creation of sense. Senses send data to the manas, the physical mind, which interprets the data into visual, auditory, olfactory, gustatory, and tactile experiences. If senses do not exist, the world does not exist for the individual. But this is not acceptable because the universe existed before man or animal. So, there could be a universal mind, not the individual mind, but the universal mind, which has created matter for the habitation of the spirit. This implies a creative power. But why should spirit create matter at all in the first place? This is what he is saying in the para. If it's okay, we go on to the next paragraph, or you want to go into detail, we can do that. You have to decide what you would like to do.
I think the detail part is...
We go into detail? Okay. No. In a certain sense, matter is unreal and non-existent. That is clear because when we are seeing absolutely as solid matter, then you go to the self, you see that it is not as solid as you think. It's only mere images. Okay? Like the in the Advaita philosophy, they say it's like the reflections in a mirror. Or that time when the Advaita philosophy was propounded, there was no cinema. But now a better image would be the cinema. They are just images on the screen. And the screen is yourself. That is permanent and that is white, therefore it is featureless. Even white is a feature. So think of a screen which is absolutely featureless, infinite, stable. That's a self. That is the only reality. The images come and go. The images come, you identify yourself with your images. All of us are only images for that self. They are representations. That's what he's saying. Okay? In that sense, matter is unreal and non-existent. In a sense, in that sense. But you go to another level, it's not the same thing again. So from one angle, if you see, matter does give the impression of being unreal. That is to say, our present knowledge, idea and experience of matter is not its truth. The way we see it is not true. So in that sense, matter is unreal. Unreal if you think that this is the reality. Okay? That is to say, our present knowledge, idea and experience of matter is not its truth, but merely a phenomenon of particular relation between our senses and the all existence in which we move. Okay? The senses are giving you a picture and that's what you say, they're putting it in this way, but the world actually for you is only the sense images. When science discovers that matter resolves it into forms of energy, it has hold of a universal and fundamental truth. There you are. So, matter is really energy, and energy is unsubstantial. It has hold of a universal and fundamental truth. And when philosophy discovers that matter only exists as substantial appearance to the consciousness, and that the one reality is spirit or pure conscious being, it has hold of a greater and completer, a still more fundamental truth. The ultimate reality, neither matter nor life nor mind, but it is Satchidananda, that the consciousness, that is the reality. Compared to that, all this is relatively unreal. That's what it means. The one reality is spirit. It has hold of a greater. But still the question remains, why energy should take the form of matter and not of mere force currents? Or why that which is really spirit which is really spirit, should admit the phenomenon of matter and not rest in states, velleities, and joys of the spirit. This, it is said, is the work of mind, or else, since evidently thought does not directly create or even perceive the material form of things, it is the work of sense. So there are some philosophies which say, mind is creating this. The divine has not created, it's your mind that is creating the world, and also, even more fundamentally, your sense is creating the world, your senses. If the senses are not there, world doesn't exist for you. Yeah. This, it is said, is the work of mind, or else, since evidently thought does not directly create or even perceive the material form of things, it is the work of sense. The sense mind creates the forms which it seems to perceive, and the thought mind works upon the forms which the sense mind presents to it. The sense mind is the manas, the physical mind, which interprets your senses. And the interpretation is there, and the thought mind also comes in and has a contribution also to recognition in the world. Okay. That's what he's saying. There is a thought mind, the sense mind and the thought mind. I think sense mind is manas and the thought mind is the pure reason. That which is interested only in knowledge. Okay. So, it is the work of sense mind. Creates the forms which it seems to perceive, and the thought mind works upon the forms which the sense mind presents to it. But evidently, the individual embodied mind is not the creator of the phenomenon of matter. He is explaining why. Because earth existence cannot be the result of the human mind, which is itself the result of earth existence. Earth existed before mind came on scene. So how can that be? Mind can be creator of existence. It cannot be. If we say that the world exists only in our minds, we express a non-fact and a confusion. For the material world existed before man was upon the earth, and it will go on existing if man disappears from the earth, or even if our individual mind abolishes itself in the infinite. Okay? The individual mind abolishing itself in the infinite, the ascetic is doing that, the Mayavadan is doing that, the Buddhist is doing that. Okay? So, but the world continues to exist. We must conclude then that there is a universal mind, not an individual mind which is creating, but a universal mind which is creating. Subconscious to us in the form of the universe, or superconscious in its spirit, which has created that form for its habitation. And since the Creator must have preceded and must exceed its creation, this really implies a superconscious mind which, by the instrumentality of a universal sense, creates in itself the relation of form with form and constitutes the rhythm of the material universe. But this also is no complete solution. It tells us that matter is a creation of consciousness, but it does not explain how consciousness came to create matter as the basis of its cosmic workings. There is a footnote. We will read that footnote and see what he is saying. The footnote is for universal sense creates. Okay, so mind as we know it creates only in a relative and instrumental sense. It has an unlimited power of combination, but its creative motives and forms come to it from above. All created forms have their base in the infinite above mind, life and matter, and are here represented, reconstructed, very usually misconstructed from the infinite, from the infinitesimal. The infinitesimal, the infinite, the sub-inconscient, I think is meaning. Their foundation is above, their branchings downwards, says the Rig Veda. This superconscient mind of which we speak might rather be called an overmind and inhabits in the hierarchical order of the powers of the spirit a zone directly dependent on the supramental consciousness. He is said it quite in terse language, okay, but he is saying, we'll look at what he is saying again clearly. Mind as we know it creates only in a relative and instrumental sense. Okay. It has a mind with an MCAP. That means he is talking of the overmind, intuitive mind, element mind and higher mind. Okay, so mind includes all those planes of consciousness. They are creating, or some of the Buddhists and others are saying it's a normal mind. Your mind is creating. Okay, so mind as we know it creates only in a relative and instrumental sense. It has a unlimited power of combination, but its creative motives and forms come to it from above. So the real forms are up there in real idea. Or if you want, you can use the word blueprints. That is really the created thing. And when it comes down here, it becomes a representation only. It becomes a mere image. It's not the real thing. You can also use the word archetype. The archetype is up there and that is the reality. But when it comes down here, Sri Aurobindo is saying, he is also using the word misconstructed. All created forms have their base in the infinite, above mind, life and matter, and are here represented, reconstructed, just like mother and the symbol. The symbol is a representation of mother. So the physical world here is all symbols and representations. They are not the reality. In that sense also, matter is unreal. Okay, and they are reconstructed, they are represented and reconstructed, because they are represented, but they also have some sort of affinity to the original archetype. Reconstructed, very usually misconstructed from the infinitesimal. They are rising from the infinitesimal. Their foundation is above. Urdhva Mulo Adhashaka in the Gita. But also the same idea is there in the Rig Veda also. He is not.
Upari Budhna.
Upari Budhna, that's right. That is the one. So the same idea is there in the Rig Veda as well as the Gita. See? Their foundation is above, their branchings downward, says the Rig Veda. The superconscious mind of which we speak, rather, or of which we speak, might rather be called an overmind, and inhabits in the hierarchical order of the powers of spirit a zone directly dependent on the supramental consciousness. So up to the overmind level if you go, you will see the physical world as a representation. But if you go into the supramental consciousness, you will start seeing that which you were seeing only as representations and images have also a reality behind them. They are not mere representations and images, but behind the image also there is a reality. That you will understand only when you go to the supramental level.
Even at the overmind, we can't see the reality of that.
No. It is a region of ignorance.
Actually, there is one letter where he has said that because the Indian seers and all, they could not cross that golden limit. That is why Mayavad, they culminated in Mayavad.
Yes.
This there in Mayavad.
Yes. So the reality of things becomes very clear when you go to the supramental level. So,
in the actual paragraph, this sentence was not clear to me. We must conclude then that there is a universal mind. Then subconscious to us in the form of the universe or superconscious in its spirit.
Okay.
This parenthetical phrase is not clear.
Let me see that sentence again, where it is.
It is the third last sentence of the paragraph.
Okay. Yeah, we must conclude. Okay. We must conclude then that there is a universal mind. Okay. What he is saying is, Buddhism is saying that your individual mind is creating the world. Mayavad also is saying that. The senses are being collected and you, the individual is seeing the physical world through it as an image in his brain. That he is denying. Because he is saying the universe existed before. So, if the universe existed before it, the individual mind is not creating the world. So, who is creating? It could be a universal mind. So, he is saying it is not an individual mind but a universal mind. We must conclude then that there is a universal mind which is creating the world. Because the creation with the mind is there. Okay? So, subconscious to us in the form of the universe, or superconscious in its spirit. Okay, so subconscious to us in the form of the universe. Okay, this universal mind, when it comes down here, it has become subconscious. But when it is up there, it is superconscious. In the middle, it is these four planes of consciousness. Universal mind takes on many levels. I think that's what it means. It's the same mind. At the lowest level, it is subconscious. At the highest level, it is superconscious.
And when he says superconscious in its spirit, so he means the spirit of the universe.
Is created superconscious in its spirit. In the spirit.
No, in its spirit. What is the spirit?
Universal mind maybe.
No.
It's a question of language, I think.
Exactly.
I think what his meaning is in the spirit. Okay? In its spirit means
Acha, in its spirit.
it's in its subconscious form, in its spirit. You can say, I'll put it this way, in its spiritual level, in its subconscious level.
See, a lot of the language is a question of language.
Yes,
I mean,
that's
if
right.
the language is completely clear, then 90% of the battle.
You are thinking of it each as a genitive.
Yes, you are right. Yes.
Okay? And then, so, first of all, there is a theory that the individual mind has made the matter. Then they're saying that cannot be because matter is already long before the individual came in. So there must be a universal mind which is there. It is always there. So, and then individual mind who has made. So there must be a creator who has done that. So that is the ultimate. That's what he's saying. Okay? So, and since the creator must have preceded and must exceed his creation, this really implies a superconscious mind. Not only an individual mind and a universal mind, but a superconscious mind. So he's going right up to the supramental level. Okay? Which, by the instrumentality of a universal sense, there also is there. So, individual sense, universal sense, subtle senses are there. So you could consider that as the universal sense. Creates in itself, a relation of form with form and constitutes the rhythm of a material universe. The material universe, there is a rhythm in it. Okay? That's an idea which goes on again and again, and it's also a problem in science also. Is matter and light is a continuous wave or is it coming in packets? The quantum theory raised this question at the science level, and in spiritual level also he has discussed this question. The nature of matter, is it a series of continuous waves or is it coming in packets? Actually, if you look at it, you'll see that it is both. Then there is no contradiction between the two. That's a very interesting discussion, and very briefly we'll touch upon it. You will see. Okay, I think we have discussed that in the cinema. When you are looking at a cinema, an action, you see an action, it seems to be continuous. I am doing this. Okay, it's a continuous action. There is no broken. But if you go down to the level, you will see that every second there are 24 frames. So if you go down there, you will see that it is broken. Your sense of continuity is actually made up of a series of broken elements. So, but you can see that when you know that it can be a broken sequence. But there is another thing. So there is like a clock, okay? Like that. So the clock seems, but if it is a digital clock, it seems to be a continuous movement. Okay, so this is the very interesting question which you discuss is, and if the world is pulsation and rhythm, okay, it is created, it is destroyed. It is created, destroyed. If there is a time gap between the creation and the destruction, you will recognize that there is a pulsation. You will recognize that there is a pulsation. But if you reduce the time gap, okay, suppose there is a gap of about 1 second between creation and destruction, you will see this staccato movement. But if you reduce that 1 second to half a second, to 1/4 of a second, to 0 seconds, destruction is taking place and construction is taking place together, it will be a continuous action. So, this is the truth also of Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. No? Brahma is creating, Shiva is destroying, and Vishnu is preserving because they are simultaneous. So this is that's why he is using the word rhythm. There is a rhythm, you can see it as a rhythm, you can also see it as a continuous movement. He has discussed this question also in Force, Life. There also he has discussed the question. Okay? So, shall we go to the next
Is there
paragraph?
any name for this universal sense in Sanskrit? Like individual sense is called Indriya and sense mind is called Manas. Is there any name in the Sanskrit terms for
See,
universal sense?
if you go to all the 5 levels, okay, ether, air, fire, water, earth,
Yeah.
you will see that to each level there is a sense corresponding.
Yes.
Na?
Yes.
You know that, na?
Yes.
At the highest level, no sense corresponds to the ether.
No, it does ear, Shabda.
Yes, that's right, Shabda. Then you come down to air, touch. Then you come down to fire, sight. Then you come down to water,
Taste.
smell.
Taste.
Taste. Yeah, that's right. And earth, so these senses are there, universal senses are there. And they are subtle senses.
Each sense corresponding to one of the main 5.
Yes. And all of them are there at the university.
And once you give a chart, actually, a printout, in which all the things were mapped on table. So all the 7, then this 7, then this 7, like this, but there are only 5 of these elements. What I'm trying to ask is that it is said that only till the Ananda Kosha has been embodied in human this thing. But the above 2 koshas, Chit Kosha and Sat Kosha, are not there. Is that the reason why that we know only of only 5 senses or Panchamahabhuta? If the other 2 koshas are there to come in the future, we might know of 2 more senses and 2 more.
You are talking of the 7 senses?
Yes.
Okay. As I understand it,
Yes.
this is the range of creation between the superconscious and the inconscient is a vast thing, and it is not like steps, it's like a ramp. So you can say everything is one, spirit and matter is the same. You can also say spirit and matter are 2. You can also say there are only 3 levels. You can say that there is gross world, subtle world and causal world. Then you can say there are 5, either air, fire, water. Or you can say like 7 words. Mother speaks of even 12 words. So you can draw your line wherever you want because there is a intermingling. And each one, you can specify the characteristics of that. So it depends on how broadly you are characterizing or how limited way you are characterizing. So this 5 senses is a convention. They are doing it in that way. That's how I understand.
Yes.
But if you try to compare one system with another system, then there is a problem. Yeah, if there are any questions. It's quite a, not a very easy para to understand, but we have done what we could, okay? So, matter he is examining basically the truth of matter. What is matter? Let us examine and see whether my contention that matter is really Sat in a misconstrued and distorted and diminished form of Sat. Is that it? Because then that's what I'm trying to show, that there is a connection between the highest and the lowest. I have already done that with Supermind and Mind. I have done that with Chit, Shakti and Life. Now I am trying to show matter and Sat. And for that we have to see the nature of Sat and see whether what I am saying is understandable and whether it is acceptable. That's what he is doing. So he is examining the nature of matter. What is science saying about it? What is philosophy saying about it? What do we say about it? That's what he is discussing, basically.
How do we define Sat not as existence but in the terms of materiality? Sat,
Yeah.
how do we define it in the terms of material? Because Sat, we normally say it is pure existence.
The pure existence, and they often use the word truth sometimes.
That is Satya.
Yeah, no.
Acha.
Truth. You see in the mantra, okay? in that in the night as in the day,
No.
be always with me. The message to
No.
Champaklal.
No.
In sleep as in waking, let me feel in me always the reality of your presence.
No.
Let it sustain and make to grow in me.
No.
Truth,
No.
consciousness and bliss. Truth, consciousness and bliss. So you can say, see, what is truth? Truth is that which exists.
Right.
And that which does not exist is falsehood.
Right.
So you can see it in that way.
Yeah.
It can be said as truth, it can also be said as existence.
But another, you were saying earlier that Sat is the fundamental material.
Yes, that's right. You can also say that. According to me, that would be the pradhana of the Sankhya philosophy. A material which is used for creating the world, but that material is so subtle, so infinite, so featureless that it is capable of creating all features. If there was a feature, if there are features in that substance, your creation will be limited. That's what he is saying.
And I mean, later on, few pages later, he's going to say that Brahman, he will use the word Brahman. He will say Brahman is the sole material of the universe.
Yes.
So, what is the relation then between the word Brahman and the word Sat? If Sat is
I think Brahman is a very general word, because if you read the, he quotes the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, okay, where he says, what is this Brahman? You often use the word Brahman for the self.
Achha.
The Brahmic consciousness is that when you have examined, you have gone to the self. Your mind is silent and your consciousness has gone there. You are a witness. There is no movement in you. You are just watching and you are absolutely calm, quiet and liberated. And that is the Brahmic consciousness uses the word. Okay? And that is Brahman. But on the other hand, you have to be a little flexible. In fact, he says that in that chapter. Okay? He says, everything is Brahman. And like in this Shvetashvatara Upanishad, he says, that blue-eyed bird, this young boy, this old man, everything is Brahman. So it depends on how we are dealing with language. And so you have to give a little leeway. One shouldn't be very, very strict about language.
Yes, actually, just as, I mean, understanding the English of the life divine in itself will help. Also, what helps probably is the mapping, exact mapping of the Sanskrit term to the English terms. Because, I mean, being Indians, the Hindi words or the Sanskrit words are more familiar sometimes.
Yes.
And to not have the exact correspondence for English now, it can be a bit of a pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is another way of looking at Brahman also, because that chapter in Life Divine,
Yeah.
Brahman, Purusha, Ishvara,
Yeah.
Maya, Prakriti, Shakti.
Yeah.
So Brahman is the first in the higher mind consciousness. When you make your mind silent, you go to the self, that is Brahman.
Okay.
Then when you go slightly higher up, you start seeing that it can also, it depends on how you are seeing. Okay, if you go to Sat, you will see in one way. If you go to Chit Shakti, you see in another way. So when you are in the experience, you see the Sankhya philosophy, you are in the Purusha consciousness, the physical world becomes Prakriti. If you are seeing Sat as Brahman, then you see the physical world as Maya.
Okay.
Brahman, Purusha, Ishvara, Maya, Prakriti, Shakti. They are the correspondences.
Yes.
So if you make your mind go to the self and you see the Sat aspect of the Brahman, the world is unreal for you. If you go to the Purusha aspect, okay, the world is mechanical energy. You end up with the Sankhya philosophy. If you go to the Ishvara consciousness, who is also both the personal and the impersonal, Ishvara, then you see the physical world as the power of the divine, conscious power of the divine. So, Brahman, Purusha, Ishvara, Maya, Prakriti, Shakti. The world is not unreal or it's not mere images, it is the power of the divine is creating this. So, it depends at which level you are seeing. So, there also Brahman very clearly refers to the self, which you can have an experience even in the higher mind consciousness. Now, these words, for instance, I got very confused. In one chapter in the synthesis, Paramatman, Parabrahma, then
there is
four words are there.
Actually, Paramatma, Parabrahma, Purushottama, Parameshwara, and Parapurusha. This is in the Gita at least.
No, there are two other words with
What is Paramatma, Parabrahma, Purushottama, and Parabrahma? Parabrahma. Very confusing actually.
Yeah.
Not easy.
So,
Listen time.
are there different ways of saying the same thing, or are they slightly, there's a little variation?
I feel that what is called Parabrahma is what Sri Aurobindo calls the ineffable. That which cannot be described by any formula.
Yeah.
That's what I understand.
Yeah, in the small booklet, Philosophy of the Upanishads,
Ah.
he has discussed this. The Parabrahman, what is Parabrahman? He says that Parabrahman is the, before you enter the Parabrahman, you are standing on the porch outside, and then but as soon as you enter the Parabrahman, all expression disappears. You can't come back to give any explanation. So, that's how he explains Parabrahman. But there are 4 words now, I forget the 4 words. Parabrahman, Paramatman.
It has to be Para Purusha because these are the 3 words. Brahman, Purusha, Ishvara, Atman, these are the 4. To these you attach Para.
Parameshwar. I'll have to check the synthesis.
It cannot be anything else. These are the 4 supreme words. Atman, Brahman, Ishvara and Purusha.
Okay, so next time we will take up from, we shall understand better.